Hey guys, so Allison here. I just wanted to make this video because I've been putting it off for a while and I don't really want to cut anything out of it, so I have a list of things here, just some bullet points that I want to cover. So this is a hard topic for me to talk about. I'm getting nervous, I'm sorry. But I think it's something that needs to be talked about because it's not really addressed very often, and it's such a huge problem, especially with women, but I think it's just more prevalent with women because they're more willing to talk about it, at least with other women, if you get to know them well enough. But so I want to talk about disordered eating and how I've kind of gone through some of it. And let me just preface this with the fact that I am very lucky that I have a super strong support system among my family and close friends, and because of that I didn't get as bad as I definitely could have. I was never hospitalized or institutionalized or anything like that for disordered eating, but I think my parents considered it at one point. So yeah, so piggybacking, I guess, off of the great support system that I have amongst my family and friends. We call it the village that raised me. Quite literally, it's a village. There's a ton of families and family friends and everyone that I could call any of them and they'd be there for me in an instant. So thank you to all of them for raising a really unique community of young people, including myself, and I'm very blessed to be a part of it. So that being said, my childhood was great. My parents are so cool. Growing up, you never want to be told that, but my friends always told me, Allison, your parents are so cool, and they were right. Like, my parents are so cool. I don't understand how, but they are. They always just treated my brother and I with such grace and humor, and they taught us to take life with a smile and all that, and they're great. That being said, I was still always a perfectionist for some reason. Just I think I get it. My mom and my dad are both very hard workers, but I think I get a lot of it from my dad, because my mom at least knows how to take a break every once in a while. My dad doesn't really. He's a workhorse, and I am too. And so I was always a perfectionist growing up. Always tried to get straight A's, and I did, and that was great and everything, but that turned me into sort of a high school hero. I was doing well in high school. I was good at what I did. I was an actress and all that fun stuff, and so I never really had it hard, which kind of makes it stupid that senior year I decided to have all of these anxieties. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do really. I had made the decision that I was going to go to school for acting, and that sounded all fun and dandy, but also I was starting to tell myself that I wasn't pretty enough to do it. I wasn't skinny enough to do it. I was constantly looking at all of this media and thinking, if I ever want to be successful in this field, I have to look perfect all the time, and I just did not feel that I was. And let me just tell you, I was not overweight. I was a healthy kid. I was active before high school. Acting got really intense. I played volleyball a lot, and when I quit volleyball, I still worked out several times a week with my dad. Long school days, all that stuff. There was no reason for me to think that I was overweight. I'll flash a picture of myself up on here or something if I feel like editing that in. But I started getting all of these anxieties, and I was auditioning for all of these acting programs, and I started thinking that I needed to diet, and that's something that I wish I had never even thought of. Before then, I was such a good eater. I love good food. My mom's an amazing cook. But I started to diet, basically meaning that I just switched my morning cereal to half a cup of oatmeal, and that's all I would eat. And then I wouldn't eat lunch until 2 in the afternoon, because that's when they make the seniors eat lunch at my high school. And for that, I only allowed myself to have a small sandwich and an apple. And then for dinner, I would eat a small portion of whatever my mom had made, and that's basically it. So I was under eating for being someone who was still kind of developing and all that stuff, but I lost some water weight, I guess. I somehow lost some weight and was super happy with it, so I decided to start taking my working out to the next level and getting more into like the clean eating and all that stuff. And so after graduation, that whole summer after senior year, I just remember like working out every day and researching what clean eating meant and finding all of these Instagram accounts that promoted clean eating and all that stuff. And so I created FlabsToFitness, my Instagram account, and I mean, if you go back to the beginning of that stream, it's got all these like stupid low fat, like clean eating recipes that I thought were just genius. And look at how I can hack my calories so I can stay under 1,200 a day. And just, yeah, I was eating like 1,200 calories a day was a high dose for me, which is not good if you're an active person at all. So there wasn't really a word for that at the time. I just thought that I was eating clean and trying to be healthy and get my six-pack and all that stuff, because even though I was really skinny, I didn't have a six-pack because I was under eating. That's a whole nother can of worms that I don't want to get into today, but that term now is kind of called orthorexia. Basically, it's an obsession with eating clean, whatever the person defines as clean. Sometimes they think it's vegan, sometimes they think it's paleo, sometimes they think it's low fat, etc., etc. For me, I was just kind of going low fat, low calorie. I didn't really care what was in it as long as it was the fewest calories and the least amount of fat possible. So I was eating a lot of crap, even though there was a lot of spinach involved as well. So this continued into freshman year at UT. Again, stupid privilege here. I didn't necessarily want to go to UT, even though it was by far the best school that I applied to. I didn't want to go there. I wasn't happy there, and I kind of just dove all in with my working out and eating and recipe development, if you could call it that, in a dorm, all that crap. And my roommate first semester would have been like, yeah, Allison, she's the fitness person. She was, my roommate put up with a lot of crap that year, so sorry, you know who you are. But I remember I didn't have my car on campus, so I think not getting to see my family after being so close with them for so long kind of hit me too. And even though Austin is not far away from where I grew up, I still just didn't see my family very often. So by the time I got home for Thanksgiving, Christmas, all that stuff, I was really underweight, and I'll try and put a picture of that up as well. But I was freaking my parents out, and in my head at the time I was just like, no, they don't understand, this is the healthy thing to do, this is clean eating, but it really freaked them out that I didn't even want to taste the Christmas cookie dough or anything like that. So somehow along the way, my mom tried to get to me a little bit and just caringly wanted me to try and eat some more on certain days. She was like, Allison, you used to love food and now you don't want to eat anything at all. Why don't you just allow yourself to have something once in a while that you enjoy? You used to love ice cream, come make Christmas cookies with me, and she's just trying to make me not be obsessed with everything that's going in my mouth. But I twisted it again and decided to look up cheat meals and see what benefit cheat meals have. And there is some science that says cheat meals are good, and hormonally there is validation for that. And so I took that to mean okay, I can have a cheat meal or a cheat meal once a week, and that'll actually boost my fat burning hormone, and that'll help me overall, whatever. So started doing a cheat meal once a week. Turned into the mentality of, well, if I'm going to screw myself over for one meal today, I may as well just eat whatever I want all day. So turned into a cheat day. And then I think my body was just in a calorie deficit for so long that those cheat days reminded me about how underweight I was, at least at a physiological level. My brain wasn't thinking that. My brain the next day was thinking okay, you ate crap yesterday, you need to eat clean again today. But my hormones must have been so out of whack. I was not getting a period. That might be too much information, whatever. I wasn't getting a period, and that's a bad sign. So I completely flipped. I went from not wanting to eat anything except super clean, low calorie, and I started just having binges. And I went from being underweight to the weight that I'd started at to like 20 pounds heavier than I had ever been in a matter of months. So that by the time I finished freshman year of college, I was 20 pounds heavier than I had been before graduating high school when this whole fiasco started. So I decided that summer, I had been kind of tracking macros, which is short for macronutrients, for a while. And the macronutrients are carbohydrates, fat, and protein. And there's this theory that if you have like a good ratio of the three of those, and you eat certain calorie levels of that, then like that produces the best like muscular definition and all this sort of stuff. And it's used a lot by bodybuilders who basically want to still be able to eat some Pop-Tarts once in a while adding to their salads and all that. So it's a thing. But so summer after freshman year of college, that's what I did. I actually followed it correctly. I was not eating under 1,200 calories a day. I think I was eating like 1,800 or 2,000 or something. It was a sustainable amount for like healthy weight loss, especially since I was still super active. I was still going to the gym every day, but I forced myself to have one rest day a week at least, and I was following the macro plan, which was actually good. It got me down. I lost about 10 pounds that summer, getting me, closer to where I had even started this whole thing. And going back into school, I was nervous because I had a lot more control over what I was eating when I was on summer break. And going into school, I wasn't sure about meal prep and all that sort of thing. So I went to Barnes and Noble one day. This summer, by the way, I read 25 books because I was just working the front desk at a country club, wasn't doing much, so I had a lot of time on my hands. So I read 25 books. So most of my paycheck that summer went to buying more books. And on one of my Barnes & Noble trips, I saw this book called It Starts With Food by Melissa and Dallas Hartwig, and it caught my eye because it was on display, and I just saw it and I was like, oh, these people are probably promoting veganism and whatever, but I grabbed it just for giggles, and I opened it, and one of the first things in the little description said something about, we believe that you should be able to eat meat and da-da-da. So as soon as I saw meat, I was like, oh, they're not vegans. Cool. Maybe I'll just read this and see what they have to say. Maybe this is my way that I don't have to count what I'm eating for forever, because it just got so ingrained in me that I needed to count everything, and it was driving me insane because, again, perfectionist. So I read that book very quickly. I was fascinated by the science behind it. They hit so many things that I had been going through, with the under eating and orthorexia to the binge eating and still trying to work out enough to counteract all the binges and all this crap. And they talked about the science of why certain foods act a certain ways in our bodies and how that can screw up our hormones. And when I was looking at the lists of things that they tried to get you to not eat during a Whole30, I was like, oh my gosh, all of this stuff is everything I eat right now. And it just kind of blew my mind. But so I rushed for sororities my first week of sophomore year, or like the week before sophomore year. And as soon as rush ended, I started my first Whole30. So my first 30 days as a member of sorority and in my sophomore year of college were spent on a super strict paleo, no sugar, no alcohol diet. But I did it, and I quite honestly, I don't like to drink, so that wasn't a problem for me. But so the Whole30 was a huge epiphany for me. I lost the last 10 pounds to get me down to my healthy weight. I had never felt better. My workouts went through the roof. There's kind of a lull about week 3 of the Whole30, but like after that, week 4, your workouts, for me at least, got insane. I did so well. Everything was so clear. I felt great, and I didn't feel bound to count what I was eating anymore. I just ate when I was hungry, and I stopped when I wasn't, and it just clicked so many things for me. So I decided to just try this long-term paleo thing a try, and after my Whole30, I incorporated some paleo sweeteners once in a while, like coconut sugar, maple syrup, and honey, and all that stuff, but stayed pretty Whole30 other than that. And I just decided to turn my Instagram into a food blog, and I developed a ton of fun recipes. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. I get so giddy thinking about it. It just opened up a world of possibilities to me, but there were still some perfectionism things that needed to be worked on, and I think this has been a topic that's been hit on the last couple days actually in the paleo community that has been kind of taboo so far, but we get dogmatic too, and the word paleo I think is kind of dying anyway, just because it's not the strict meat, vegetables, healthy fats, nuts rule book anymore. I mean, there's plenty of paleo people who eat rice as a post-workout thing now. There's plenty of paleo people who eat primal, which allows for some dairy and chocolate and just all that stuff. It's expanding rapidly with this real whole foods template. But I was stuck in the strict paleo thing for about a year, and my friend Anne over at Grass-Fed Salsa developed this program that she calls Ditch Your Nutritionist, and it starts out as a baseline strict paleo protocol to kind of reset you and clear your system out and all that stuff, but afterwards she actually wants you to reintroduce each thing that she omits from the program to see how it affects you. And that freaked me out because I hadn't been eating cheese or rice or anything like that for a year, but I did it. I listened to her, and it turned out that I didn't have an issue with dairy, but I had an issue with egg whites, and I had been eating 3 eggs a day since going paleo. So that kind of turned my thinking again, because I was like, why have I not been experimenting on myself? Like, I'm the person that's feeling all this. I'm the one who knows what's best for me. Why am I eating eggs because everyone says they're good and not eating cheese because everyone says they're bad, even though it's the exact opposite for me? And so I turned myself into an experiment after that. I tried the bulletproof diet for a while, and I had some good success with it, but I liked increasing my fat intake, and that's a whole other thing. But I just kind of turned myself into a little experimental playground for the time being after that. And so at this point in the story, I would say we are in junior year of college. And after my junior year, I got to study abroad in Florence, Italy. And that kind of was another epiphany for me. I realized how strict I still was with myself. I got to Italy, and their idea of gluten-free isn't like meat and vegetables. It's like bread without gluten in it. And I had told myself on my way over there that I was going to enjoy the food, but like gluten does mess with me. I've tried it. I feel crappy after I eat it. So they're really good about having gluten-free options in Italy, surprisingly. But I was eating way more carbs than I was used to. I was eating a ton of gelato, like everyday gelato. But it was great, because even though I gained a little bit of weight in Italy, but like it totally flipped my thinking again, because they approach food as an experience. I never once felt like I needed to rush through it. And I think that was the last straw for me to realize what all this like eating disorder crap is like, we have so much stress coming at us from all these different directions. And part of it is the fact that we just always want to go, go, go in America. And like I said at the beginning of this, that's my personality. I work like that. That's what I think works for me, is being busy all the time. So anyway, Italy broke me again, and I enjoyed my food very much. And when I came back, I went mostly back to my paleo template. The non-paleo food in Italy is much higher quality than it is in America, so I tend to still stick to meat, veggies, healthy fats, a little bit of fruit, some dairy over here in America, because that's just how I feel best when I'm over here. But I don't freak out if I get rice on my plate like I used to. I'll eat beans once in a while. Like, it's not, if beans are the bad thing in your diet, I think you're okay. And so yeah, this whole thing is just a self-love experiment. And as a personal trainer, as a nutrition coach, my story I think helps me, because I still remember what it's like to be in the throes of that. And I know now that I'm triggered by stress to have binge responses. Like, after I got back from Italy, even, this was less than a year ago. I got back from Italy a year ago yesterday. And I would say in October, I just had a freak out. I had no idea what I was going to do after graduation. And I literally blacked out and just started eating things in my pantry, like anything I could get a hold of. And afterwards, it was probably like 10-15 minutes later, I had eaten so much stuff, and I don't even remember what I ate, but I felt so crappy that I was going to get sick. and I made myself go get sick, and that freaked me out because I've never had signs of bulimia before, and I was shaking, and like I was sick because I was so full, but I also like made myself keep getting sick because I just felt so nasty on the inside and so down on myself. And I just remember like finishing puking, and I like stood up and I looked in the mirror, and my eyes were so swollen and puffy. I had no clue what I had just done to myself. So I laid down and I just like napped for like an hour. And when I got up, the first thing I did was call my mom. And I was like, Mom, this hormonal eating disorder, stress crap, like it doesn't just go away. And so that was a big demon I needed to face. That was never a way that I had dealt with stress before, to my knowledge. Looking back, I think a lot of my disordered eating came from stress, but that was the first like really fast stress response that I had, and my mom just like talked me through it. She's such a saint. But she encouraged me and just listened to me even though I sounded kind of crazy and all this stuff, and I couldn't explain why I couldn't stop eating and why I didn't remember what caused it in the first place. But it was crazy, and that was the first time that I had any like visible scars, I guess, from an episode like that, because my swollen eyes, they had gotten so swollen because I had busted a ton of capillaries in my eyes. So when I went like this, all of it was just red, and I have pictures of that too. I don't know if I'm going to show those because they're terrifying, but my eyes stayed red with all these broken capillaries all around them for like a month. And I was in a play at that time, and I showed up to rehearsal, and they were like asking me what's wrong, and I just kind of told them that it was stress. Eventually I think I told a couple of my my co-actors what really happened, but man, it's so hard for me to even say this because only a couple people know about that to this day, and that was recent. That was less than a year ago, and I'm a nutrition coach. So my thing that I'm trying to tell you guys is like, no one is perfect, okay? And if someone is in the field that I'm in, the health coaching, fitness, nutrition world, they probably have a story like this, and we're all just in this together. I just maybe am lucky enough to have kind of gone through this transition sooner than someone else, but that just means I can look back at my own history and say, yeah, I get it. I get how hard it is to lose weight. I get how hard it is to stop tying emotion to food, to stop tying stress to food, to look at yourself and think, yeah, maybe I'm not exactly where I want to be, like aesthetically, but I'm beautiful just the way I am, because you are such a unique individual who has a story and who has something that they need to do in this world. That's why you're here. And health is just a way to make that a vehicle toward your success. Like, your health is just supposed to be something that helps you get there faster and helps you help others faster. And that's why I like to use the phrase, let's achieve greatness together. Let's achieve greatness together and achieve your greatness. Those are two things that I think being healthy will help you do. They help you to do the thing that you're here to do, whatever that is. And while health is a very hard topic to discuss and address, and everyone has a different opinion on it, I think at the end of the day, you need to find what works for you, and not just works for you physically. You know, you need to check in with your body, feel how you feel, see how your stomach reacts to different foods, but up here too, because there are plenty of paleo foods that I know are going to make me feel crappy on the inside, and they're going to just set off my sugar demon on the inside. And so for me, that means just not eating them most of the time. I might eat them like at Christmas or for my birthday because I really like cake. But you need to know that it's okay to not be perfect. Just, that's one thing. Just, it's okay to not be perfect. And we are all on this journey to achieve greatness together. Wow. So that was that. And if you made it this far in the video, congratulations. Thank you for listening to my rambling and my fidgeting of this paper. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope that you take this as an indication that you are special and you do deserve to achieve your greatness. And if that means looking at your health and getting someone to help you with it, so be it. But know that if you hire someone to help you with it, they really do want to help you. They're not being condescending when they ask you what you ate. They're just trying to put you on the right path so that you feel better. So